Hey, what's up, Emerge community? Happy Halloween. Tasha here, and today I'm going to tell you about a very, very spooky recruiting story. Now, if you are watching this on video and you're wondering what's going on, obviously, I'm dressed up as a taco for Halloween because branding. So I'm gonna do this whole video dressed up as a taco, and I hope this doesn't take away from the how terrifying this recruiting story is. And so let me go ahead and jump into it, kind of the same way I would jump into a bunch of guacamole. Okay, that was a terrible taco joke. Let me go ahead and tell you the story. Spooky recruiting story on Halloween. So I had this client a long time ago when I first started coaching, and she was doing great. Everything was awesome. And then a few weeks later, I don't know, about halfway into our time together, she gives me a referral for her friend who is working with another company and who just started. And I have this client's permission to tell a story. And so I asked this referral, I said, I just have to ask you, why didn't you join so-and-so's team? And she said, well, it's because she didn't ask me, and this other person asked me first. And so I dug in a little bit more, and I said, okay, well, tell me more. And she said, well, I did my appointment with my client, and everything was great. And I thought, wow, I think I could do this. And my client actually went out of town for a while. And so then in the meantime, while my client was out of town, just some other friend of hers said, hey, do you want to join my network marketing team? And because of this positive experience with my client, she had such a positive concept of network marketing that she said, yeah, sure, that sounds awesome. And she's doing well. And it's kind of like this, there's this one that got away. And I said, well, what if my client would have asked you at, when you first did your first appointment, what would you have said? And she said, yeah, I would have said yes. And I was like, oh no, it's so painful. And every time I think about that story, it's still painful for me, because we had this person who was totally looking for side income, totally looking for a way to get out of her corporate job, really eager, had a positive view of network marketing, and ended up joining a different company and a different team. And that is just a major bummer. And I think what makes this a horror story here on Halloween is that I think it's happening more often than people realize. In the advanced recruiting course that I teach, I just had a client say that she knew of someone and she never invited her, she thought about it, or blah, blah, blah. And this person ended up joining somebody else's team and ended up at an income level that would have been like, it's probably one of the top ones in her company. And it's like, oh man, because we make assumptions and we prejudge people, and that's the horror story, my friends. And so today, let's talk a little bit about avoiding this horror story and making sure that we are inviting people to join our team. I've been doing a lot of podcasts over the past month here, specifically on this concept of recruiting, and it's on my mind because on November 2nd in Dallas and November 10th in Orange County, California, and live stream, I'm doing an in-person event called The Good Human Recruiter, because I think it is your obligation, I guess, to the world as a good leader and a good network marketer who wants to be a good human and treat customers right, to invite people to join your team. So let me give you a few thoughts on this concept of asking. I recently read the book Super Coach, and it was basically this cool book on, like, if this guy were to give you 10 coaching calls, what would they be? And there was a chapter in there about how you can ask anyone for anything, how to ask anyone for anything. And I thought, well, okay. And I thought it was going to be really like just the normal, just go out and do a bunch of stuff and get used to rejection. But there were some really cool insights that I wanted to share with you. And it kind of starts, the chapter kind of starts off like this. You can ask anyone for anything if you don't buy into your thinking about what it means if they said no. And then later on in the chapter, Michael Neal talks about if you knew you would be safe, happy, and well no matter what, how would you ask? And so he breaks down the 3 reasons that people say no to one of your requests. So the first is fear and insecurity that you'll talk them into something that they don't want to do. Number 2, lack of info or understanding about what you're asking and how that's going to benefit them, either directly or indirectly. I'm looking up at like a serious conversation. I see myself in a taco suit. That's funny. Number 3, a genuine knowing on their part that they don't want to do the thing that you're requesting. And so what's really interesting about these 3 reasons people say no is that none of them actually have to do with you. They're not personal. They're not a dig at you, right? So number 1, fear, insecurity that you'll talk them into something they don't want to do. Well, that's really more about their fear and insecurity, not you. Number 2, lack of info or understanding about how what you're asking will be a benefit to them, either directly or indirectly. Well, this is one that it's not personal, so they don't have enough information to make a good decision. They might be making assumptions. I think this is also where skill comes in, and so I'm going to teach you some tips around this. And then number 3, a genuine knowing on their part that they don't want to do the thing that you're requesting. So that's like, okay, they don't want to do it, and so they're self-aware, and it's not that big of a deal. And so I really just want you to think about that these reasons that people say no, they're not specifically about you. They're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to reject you. And there's this part in here where it says, I'm actually going to read it to you because there's no way my notes could do it justice. Okay, so given how impersonal and even understandable it is that sometimes people don't do what we ask them to do, why do we have so much thinking about the word no? Because when we make our requests, we tend to put our self-image, self-esteem, and even physical survival on the line along with whatever it is we're requesting. Instead of simply asking for the sale, the job, or the hand in marriage, our self-conscious subtext gets rolled into a question, and what we're actually asking goes a little something like this. Would you please do as I'm requesting and approve of me, affirm me as a human being, ensure I have whatever I need to survive, and let me know I'm worthy of your acceptance? So instead of us saying, I don't want to make any assumptions, would you like to learn how to earn money by, through X company, right? Which is really all you're asking. We make it mean this. I'm going to repeat it. Would you please do as I'm requesting, or I don't want to make any assumptions. Would you please talk to me about joining my team? That way I know you approve of me, affirm me as a human being, ensure I have whatever I need to survive, and let me know I'm worthy of your acceptance. And Michael Neal goes on to say, that's a tall order for anyone, let alone someone you barely know. And I think about some of my relationships. I have a great marriage most of the time with Charlie. But I mean, he can't even do all of those things. And when I get in the space of, okay, the love of my life, the person who's committed to being with me my entire life, who loves me more than everyone except for his daughters, I think. If I were to ask him, would you please do as I'm requesting and approve of me, affirm me as a human being, sure I have whatever I need to survive, and let me know I'm worthy of your acceptance, like, that would not even work for him, and he's my husband, but we attached that. And I read that, and I just stopped in my tracks. I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally what we're thinking when we ask someone to do something, and for me, enroll in our coaching programs, or have them be my client, or for you, maybe it's joining your team or asking for the sale or whatnot. And so there's an interesting question that's posed. What if you knew without a shadow of the doubt that no matter what the person in front of you said, you would still have a thriving team? Why is it that recruiting gets easier for people once they already have a thriving team, because they don't add this context to it. And I think what we have to do is get out of our own head. And I know that's harder said than done, but this is a free podcast or a video, depending on how you're consuming this. But I think we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, well, how can I ask this in a way that I already knew I was going to be successful? I already knew my income goals were going to get taken care of. I already knew all of that. I do know that I need to invite people because that's part of my job, but my actual well-being is not in question. I think that would change everything. And so here are the 3 tips that I want to give you when you first enroll a customer on inviting them to a recruiting conversation or business opportunity appointment or whatever you want to call it. Number 1, have fun inviting people. Invite people like it's the best party in the entire world. When Charlie and I got married, we just celebrated our 10th anniversary. Our wedding was freaking amazing, and we knew it would be. And so when we invited people, we said that, hey, you got to come to the wedding. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be super fun. Now, there are people that we invited that didn't come to the wedding, but we didn't attach our self-worth to whether or not they came to the wedding, because we knew no matter what, our wedding was going to be awesome. And when we invited people to our wedding with that confidence, they started to get excited too. Now, in a few coaching calls that I've done in the past few days, I've shared this with clients, that our belief, confidence, and enthusiasm are contagious. And our lack of belief, our lack of confidence, and our lack of enthusiasm are also contagious. And so when we are inviting people to learn more about how to do this business, I think it's really, really important that you have fun inviting them. Number 2 is, I just love this question. I don't want to make any assumptions. Would you like to learn how to earn money with X company? You may have heard me say this before in other trainings or coachings, but I think that works really, really well, especially when we're having fun doing it. And then number 3, if they say, sure, that depends, yes, no, maybe, you can just follow it up with, usually what I do is set up an appointment to go over why you would want to do this, how it would work, how to get paid, what you would do, and then you can decide if this is a good fit for you. Either way, it's okay with me. I just want to make sure you're making the most informed decision. Is that something that would be helpful? And just see what they say. And I want you to take it back to, if you were inviting them to the best party ever, here's how I would invite people to a wedding using Emerge language. Okay, I don't want to make any assumptions, but are you free or are you busy? August 16th, 2008. Pretty sure that's my anniversary, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some flack if I said that wrong from Charlie, who actually edits my podcast. Okay, so then you say, well, it kind of depends. I said, well, it's going to be awesome. I'm going to have 3 different outfits. We are going to have an open bar. We're going to have the best Indian food in Southern California. We're also going to have pasta and chicken and an awesome spread there. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to have a photo booth. It is going to be amazing. It's going to be super fun. I really, really hope you can come. What if we invited with that type of attitude? And how would that change I don't want to make any assumptions, would you like to learn how to earn money? And then we lay out the agenda, and they're like, okay, well, if you can't come to my party, that's totally cool. We can still be friends. Because there are people who couldn't attend my wedding that I am still friends with. And I remember one of my friends that came to my wedding, she said her husband couldn't come and because he had to work. And I said, well, that's a bummer. If anything changes, I really hope he'll come too. And then we were at the wedding, it was time, and then guess who walks in? Her husband. And I was stoked. I was super excited that he was there. And I think if we start to look at our team as a party, as opposed to maybe some people think it's a funeral, I think we'll have a lot more fun inviting people into our business, and that we will not need to live out this Halloween horror story when it comes to recruiting.